What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to the Serious Angler podcast, powered by X2 Power Batteries. And we are back, the captain and I, Mr. Andy Full, and myself, Bailey Egbert. We are back with the episode from part 2 of the live stream from this week. If you not catch part 1, that was Tuesday night live earlier this week, where we had Carl Jochimson and Drew Gill on the show, and that was a heck of a lot of fun. We had them all on Tuesday Night Live, which was a great time. Learned a lot, especially from Drew Gill, a very intelligent angler. And then Carl talking about his Fear My Heart incentive. So if you did not catch that one yet, highly encourage you to. But today's show we're going to get into is we got John Garrett joining us, one of our good pals of the show and recent champion on the Bassmaster Elite Series. We haven't had him on since he won at the Harris Chain. We're going to catch up with him and talk about a whole bunch of stuff on the sun. So it's always good to get him on here. And enjoy today's episode. All right, we are back, and let's bring in our last guest for tonight, Mr. John Garrett. What's going on, dude?
What's up?
So we can just confirm
Thanks for waiting,
zero thoughts on the Roman Empire, correct?
Never think about the Roman Empire. Never.
Not once.
Not
in like general context.
Not since like 7th grade U.S. world history class. Yeah, I've not thought about that at all.
My man.
Yeah.
It's not just me.
Fair
First
enough.
section there, like, I don't know. I guess maybe just because Drew he just comes off very, very, very intelligent, and I'm sitting there like, wow, I'm really the dumb. I mean, I always assume the dumbest person in the room, but
man, you're looking at me. I'm definitely the dumbest one in the room. All right,
Drew's mind runs constantly when mine barely runs. That's just totally different.
You gotta give yourself some credit, man. I mean, you're having a badass season, dude. Like, you're sitting 6th in AOI, going to the last 2 events. I mean, dude, it's got to feel pretty damn good for rookie season. And then you got a blue trophy, you got a $100,000 check. That's got to feel pretty damn good.
Dude, crazy year. That's just been ever since, I guess we kind of got away from the spawn, kind of post-spawn time, man. I've just been making really good decisions. Especially based on some of the practices I've had. I've had a couple of good practices, but most of the time they've been just dreadful, and been able to turn bad practices into good tournaments, man. Just been a good year. I mean, things are kind of clicking right now, and as an angler, you kind of understand where I'm coming from there, and hopefully it don't stop, but it always comes to an end sooner rather than later. So,
well, you know what they say, ride it out. Because I mean,
yeah, for sure.
I remember Polnick talking about it a while ago, where it's he talks about a single event anyway. It's like if you can shoot for the win and you fall, you're gonna fall in say the top 20, top 30. Mm-hmm. Where it's if you shoot for the top 30, you fall in the 50s, 60s. Where it's like, at least I feel like if you keep that train of thought, with the consistency you're doing, the worst case is you're gonna have a season where you might be bubble boy. That might be the worst, which I feel like in your case, if you're in high 30s, 40s, not the worst case scenario. You know what I mean? But the way you're riding, dude, 6 in AOI right now, I think that thought should not be in your mind whatsoever. Just keep riding this train, because 2 events left. You're not out of AOI. To lead it anyway.
No doubt. I mean, some unfortunate things happened to Trey this past week, and it just shows you that no matter how good your year is going, something could happen. And being not too far behind Justin Hamner and Trey and Cody and all them, and me I've kind of already made the classic, so I have really nothing to lose in the next few tournaments besides kind of shoot for the big goals. Try hard, shoot for some wins, and see where the cards fall. I'm looking forward to fishing a couple tournaments with at least Champlain with no pressure, because I'm already in the classic. Unless I do really well at Champlain, then I'll have a little pressure at St. Lawrence to do a little better. But looking forward to get up in y'all's neck of the woods where we're not battling. We will be battling pterodactyl like mosquitoes, because I think y'all have some of the worst mosquitoes up up north than anywhere in the country, but we won't be battling 100-degree heat up there anyway, so that's going to be good.
You should
Especially
have been here
Champlain.
like 2 weeks ago. It was 100 degrees.
No, was it?
Terrible.
It was so bad, John. That Champlain, the Adirondack Champlain, I think has some of the worst mosquitoes, black flies that I've ever experienced in my entire life.
They'll get you.
Where it's the nice part about St. Lawrence River though is because like you have that lake wind or whatever you don't get.
Yeah.
I'm not a biologist. That's just my theories. That's why you might
not.
Have.
Biologist.
Whatever. See, this is me showing why I'm an idiot. But either way, a couple weeks back, I went and I fished a kayak tournament in the Adirondacks. And dude, there was a couple mosquitoes out, but I didn't think anything of it. And I sleep in my truck and I leave 2 windows cracked just a little bit. Buddy, when I tell you I woke up thinking I had like bed bugs, it was that bad because I just got tore up everywhere. It's so bad up here for mosquitoes. it's horrible.
Should just sprayed some DEET in your truck.
I should have slept in a bathtub of DEET because it was that bad, dude. It was one of those things where it just drives you mentally insane because you're so itchy. But yeah, either way, that's a different conversation. But
no, I just every time we go up north, of course we have long days up there. We fish for a long time, and then next thing you know, it's 9:00 and you're on the side of the lake trying to rig up tackle, and you can't because the mosquitoes are carrying your braid off, they're carrying you off, and it's like you can't file leaving knots. Up there at night, man, they're vicious.
Oh yeah,
yeah. It's definitely a time where you just got to bring all your tackle inside.
Yeah.
But dude, I mean, so Logan with his YouTube series, one thing that I got to see a little bit, hanging with you guys at the Classic and just watching as a fan perspective. But Logan's video series, man, I think has brought out some of the characters in your house. And it definitely seems like you and Cody, like, obviously you're both actually dads, but like you're literally the dads of the house, it seems, to keep them boys in check.
It's hard, man. It's a hard job because it's like we fish all day and then we come back and I take care of our kids, not only our real kids, but then Rob and Logan and Jack, the cameraman. He's got a little calm to him, but 3 kids in the house. But no, it's a good time. Rob G keeps the entire house laughing. He is a hoot, man. It's not just cracking normal jokes. It's like almost intelligent jokes where you have to think about what he says to laugh a lot of times. Like he's just got a really good sense of humor in him. And man, glad he's part of the house. I will say this, Rob just had a really good finish at Toledo or Smith Lake, and every time I've fished around Rob, he has caught way more bass than me in those areas. He is one of the fish catchingest, sneakiest bait dudes I've ever been around in my life. Like everybody's focused on what Koya and Taku and all the foreign anglers are throwing. Y'all should take a look in Rob G's boat. He has some wild stuff in there and he can trick a lot of fish to bite. So if I'm ever in a tournament, we find the same area, I just leave immediately because he's going to suck them all out of the area.
He vacuumed them all up. These are mine.
Yeah, for sure.
So are you calling him out right now, saying that if he does like the top 10 baits thing, that it's all a lie? Like he's not going to show them?
It's going to be a 70-30. You'll get 70% of the truth and 30% he's going to keep in his pocket. He might show you some of the baits he's using, but he's not showing you all the tricks he does with it. But no, he's super sneaky with that stuff. And man, even other guys on the Elite Series will tell you the same thing. It's like, I don't want to be fishing around Rob during the tournament day for sure.
Well, I think you can flash back to Toledo during the live coverage. Like everyone was fishing that main stretch, and then Rob was like off in his own little arm all by himself doing his own thing. Yeah. So maybe there was other pros that practice, and they're like, "Yep, I'm not going in there with him."
Oh yeah, Rob's in here. We're out of here, guys. And he just has half the lake to himself. But no, it's been a really good time. Man, the whole house has had a good year, and we've, me and Logan worked together last year, and then me and Cody worked together in college, and we both worked well with each other individually. And I mean, it takes a whole lot of trust between 4 people working together. But man, we've we're making it work. We're learning things through each tournament, and I think we'll have a little more, have a little more nitpick stuff nailed down by the time we get, next season going. But man, it's been really good for us on the water and been a real good time off the water as well.
Yeah, that's cool, dude. I mean, people talk about a network being important at your guys' stage, and when it's also guys on the trail, I think that definitely helps too. Just being able to, almost like when we were talking a little bit with Drew, but on the first show we were on with you when you were talking about the college fishing scene. It's probably almost a similar aspect. I mean, being that you fished in college with them, but I think that it's kind of that same environment then, where it's just you guys are obviously trying to beat each other, but at the same point in time, you're also learning from each other. And now that the fact that this is your careers, this is your profession, I think it takes it to a whole new height, which is, I think it's a cool deal for you guys. But have you been able to watch any of the coverage yet from Smith, like any of the stuff with Rob on the water or any of the baits and stuff like that?
No, I haven't.
I encourage you when you get time to at least go watch the Chick-fil-A clip with Rob, because that personality coming out full fledged. Like, I think people are starting to see exactly what you're talking about, that Rob's a character. And I got to share a few drinks with Rob at the Classic, and I definitely got to see it for myself, which I think you saw too at Duncan's deal.
Mm.
But yeah, dude, some of the bait things is so hard for me. Like looking at Taku's baits, I'm sitting there and I'm looking at these things, and he's got that. He calls it the pancake, which is that nori's. I can't remember what it's called, but like a flapping.
Yeah, it looks like a flat frog. Looks like you ran over a tree frog with your car. Yeah.
Yeah. So I have a pack of those, and I'm sitting there, and I have them in my stash for like largemouth on bed type of deal, like something different just to get him to fire. And he's sitting here Nico rigging the damn thing, hover strolling it, and I'm sitting there. I'm like, it's Taku, so I wouldn't be surprised. But also, I'm sitting there. I'm like, is he just using that to disguise and throw people off because it's so wacky? It's like, how do you even like for the fan? Like, do you even trust it? Like, how many guys do you think are gonna have that rigged up on Smith this week?
Look, I don't care if it's Taku or Kenta or Rob or me. What you see us most of the time, what we let out to the public is not what we're catching fish on most of the time. And
thank you. Somebody said it.
Thank you.
And I'm going to be honest with you. All the JDM stuff and the stuff we have easily handy here. When we come out and even say, like, hey, this is what we're using, most of the time that just does not sell product. And what really sells product, which people don't realize, is stuff that gets left in our rod box and people don't know about. It's like, what is Rob really using? And then you hear it fifth hand down that he's using something crazy. That's what people buy. And even when it's something that we all have, that we can all get, that's available to get, we still don't really talk about it. Like there's a lot of striking baits that I use in different colors and use them in different ways that I don't really let people know about because it's just kind of a way I get a few bites. But man, that's when you find out what Taku and is really using, and it's the same thing with all the minnow baits that everybody's using. No one advertises it, but you can't buy them. You can't go anywhere to buy all these hot baits. Is because people kind of hear sneakily what people are using. That's what sells product more than advertising it, really.
Yeah, I think that's a great point in itself, where it's, and I think you can say the same thing for discontinued baits. There's a reason why some baits get discontinued, because they're so good that the people pushing them don't want to talk about it, and so they get discontinued. So if you see that, a note for people, like one of the baits Taku was using was discontinued, that he was honest about. Well, I think he was honest about. He said it was discontinued. Like stuff like that you see, there's a reason why. So like some of them might actually suck, but like use your judgment. Some of the discontinued things, man, they can be, if you get your hands on them, some of the best baits in history have been discontinued.
Yeah, like one of my.
So, go ahead.
I was gonna say one of Bailey and I's favorite max scent baits got discontinued, and I think I only have like 18 bags of them left. I'm gonna cry when I run out of them. It's like, dang it. And they're getting hard to find.
There's a striking bait that was called the wake shad. I don't know if y'all ever heard of that or not. Y'all It's a jointed wake bait. It's got a bill on it. And
was it very similar to the king shad?
Yes, the king shad. Yep, it's the same thing. And they came out with it. Everybody on the pro staff loved it. No one pushed it. They got rid of it. The entire pro staff were crying blues, and everybody sucked them all up. All the pro staff did. They quit making them, and they're coming back out with one at ICAST here. So it's just like, just because a bait doesn't get talked about doesn't mean it doesn't catch them. Because a lot of times that's the baits that get them good.
Is this?
Yes.
That's it right there. Yep.
Yeah,
that's her.
Everything's out of stock. That's cool.
Yeah, that's a really, really good bait. Yeah.
So is this going to be the same one that they're coming back out with, or is it going to be
same exact one, a little different colors, some upgraded hooks on it, but it's the same exact bait.
That's freaking sweet. Yeah, man, that's such a good point in regards to that, like from the bait side of it, where I feel like the top 10 bait stuff, while to your point, most guys will lie about it, it's still like for somebody that's going to lake for the first time, you're not going to go and show people something outlandish. You're going to still give people an idea of how you can go catch a bass out there. It's just, if there's something super sneaky, you're obviously not going to show it. Where you could be like, I want to say it was Chris or Corey, one of the two. It was 2 years ago, I think, on the Lake Ontario St. Lawrence, where they literally just went like this. They didn't show anything. It was just their hand over the bait.
Yeah.
And so I don't know. But yeah, those always crack me up.
Yeah, they're usually close. And if you go buy those baits, they'll probably catch fish, but they're more than likely not rigging them that way or a different color, something different most of the time.
Yeah.
And what cracks me up in the mornings when they do the top 10 gallery is you see everybody, sometimes myself included, cutting the baits off that have all the teeth marks on them we're being using and tying brand new baits out of the package on. And when they show up in the Bassmaster article, it doesn't even look like they've been thrown before. So it's like, come on, man. You didn't
fresh bait for the day. Come on.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
So have you noticed this thing? We've had a few guys talk about it. Hamner was the first one like 2 years ago to tell us on a show that it's not 2 years ago, sorry, last year, that with Kyoya, everyone's like trying to see his boat or something like that, but he's like the most neat, put everything away, lock everything when he goes to bring his fish up. Have you noticed more guys beyond just Kyoya doing that?
Yeah, you'll notice this a lot when you watch live. And I don't really do it that much, even if I'm not throwing a sponsor bait, is because it's kind of a pet peeve for me watching Bass Live. Is when someone lands a fish, they put their fish right here and turn away from the camera.
Yeah. Yeah.
And they'll unhook it, and then you'll see a bait fly off in the water. That I will say 50% of fish catches on Bass Live, they hide the bait and throw it out in the water. But yeah, there's a lot of people that do that. But you have a lot of people that they're almost happy and proud they figured something cool out and they jabber about it. But those guys that don't like people knowing what they're throwing, they hide it on Bass Live. They lock their rod lockers. They put all their rods up before weigh in. Yeah, hard to get peeks at baits from specific people for sure.
Yeah, whether he was doing it on purpose or not, Taku was one of those on the last.
Oh, yeah, he's doing it on purpose for sure.
I love it. I love it.
Yeah.
That's got to be from your guys' sense. I guess here's my question for you: is in that house? I mean, do you guys try to be a little sneaky around each other in that sense, or is it pretty open book on what you're throwing?
No, I feel like at least on my part, no, I feel like for the whole house, we're very, very open. And what we've kind of all done is that we've even shared as far as sharing waypoints this year, places we find is like number one goal each tournament. Let's all four at least try to make a check. Let's all try to make a cut, whether that's me helping all three people out or all three people helping me out or a little bit of everybody. We all just try to keep somebody from having a bomb. And then, as end of day two comes around, even if we're all sharing stuff and then all of a sudden somebody has a chance to win, then it's just like, hey man, all yours. Like you do you. We made it through the first 2 days. You have everything. You have my stuff. You have your stuff. Like go try to win. And hopefully it works out at the end of the year where we all make the classic. Where there's been a lot of top tens in the house so far doing that this year. And I mean, I'm not ashamed to say it. Like I've weighed fish off of Logan stuff and Cody stuff and Rob stuff all through the year, and they've done the same to me. So it's like, you know, we might be hurting each other 5 places at one tournament throughout the year. But what I've seen is that if someone else pulls up to my place when I'm not there or while I'm there and they catch a fish, I probably wouldn't go catch that fish anyway. So we're really helping each other out as far as not bombing a tournament. Um, there's only been a couple bombs in the house so far this year, but it's worked out well between us all, and hopefully keep that rolling.
Yeah, and dude, so one of the first times we had you on, we were talking about kind of your approach when you were in the opens, and 'cause I think you were in the opens at the time, and you seem to what you mentioned anyway that you kind of weren't trying to find like the needle in the haystack. You were trying to find where you knew there were areas where fish were there. It could be community holes, and you're just going to work those all through practice and trying to find the spot on the spot. Have you taken that approach in the elites, or have you changed anything up at all?
No, I haven't changed it up, and it's almost more doable now. Um,
Less
it's
people.
because less people, and I'm not. These guys do find absolutely everything. When in the opens, there was stuff that didn't get found, even when there's that many boats. It's almost like these guys, when they show up to a place, they're checking places where they live. But on me, the other hand, I don't know where they live to begin with most of the time, and I'm just out there trying to find a fish. But what these guys are really good about is since there's less people on the water, is they don't just sit somewhere and milk it all day long. And in the opens, there are so many boats. A lot of people would get on a place. If they got on somewhere, it'd sit there all day. So you're able to be more mobile. And there's been very, very few times, if any, this year, if there was a boat sitting somewhere that I wanted to fish. So I've still just been honing in on, and we've had shorter practices. We only got 3 days now. So I don't have a lot of time to explore on those non-traditional areas. So I might hit the highest, the highest productive places, the 3 best areas of the lake in 3 days of practice and go from there. But yeah, I just go to places where traditionally the fish live, and that's because they live there. That's the traditional places of where they're at all the time,
Right.
and right by the boat ramp. I've caught so many fish inside the boat ramp the past 3 years. It's ridiculous. But the most traditional places and where fish get let loose, that's where they are.
I wonder. And I mean, obviously, you can't put a quantitative number to this, but like, how many pros tournaments or cuts or even Elite Series season to keep them on have been saved by retreads? And it's got to be an absurd number.
If you go back to Seth's Fodder's AOI win and go watch his live coverage, because when you're in lead AOI, you get a live boat every day. 50% of his live coverage was inside of a boat ramp almost every single time. And they had a shallow water, more so a shallow water year that year. It's easier to catch fish retreads in shallow water than it is deep water fisheries. But it's unbelievable. And all these guys know it. If there's a ramp in a back of a creek that holds Tuesday nighters, there's somebody finding a brush pile out in front of the boat ramp every time.
It's got to be crazy, like almost a joke though. Like when you're going through takeoff and a guy just goes, "Boop." Okay, starting right there.
Yep. The first day at Wheeler, I had a little pile of shell right across from Ingalls Harbor, literally right across. And I started the day with a nice limit, and 3 of the fish I weighed in were probably caught by the same guy because they had coal ring holes in their mouth, which we can't use. So some local guy using it. But more than likely, I caught 3 fish that the same person has caught for no telling how many Tuesday nighters in a row. But man, and there was 4 or 5 guys that cut checks within a couple hundred yards of the ramp. So my granddad always said it growing up, don't leave fish to find fish. And that's why I tend not to get out of productive areas.
Yeah.
How are people still using those the puncture clips? I saw somebody posted it like today or yesterday with on their story. I want to say it was Garrett Paquette, might have been it. Might have his story. But he caught a fish that had just a gaping hole on his bottom lip. And it's like, are we seriously still using puncture clips right now?
And I don't know if the fish fully recover from them, because I have done this a lot. Is if I have caught a fish that has had that puncture hole and I go to grab it, my thumb or finger will slip through where it used to be and kind of almost go through their bottom lip. So I think once a fish has it, he's pretty much got it forever, or it's weak enough to where it gives out. If somebody catches that fish again, it's going to tear open.
Right. Almost like when you get an earring, you're always going to have that hole in your ear type of deal.
For sure.
Yeah.
Poor fish.
Yeah. Yeah. We were having
We've come through enough abuse.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So dude, talking about the Harris chain dove, which, I mean, did you expect it all this year on that schedule that if you had one shot to win one, it was going to be a Harris chain?
That would be the last place that I would have circled on my map. I've had some success at the Harris chain. I've had some really good tournaments there, but every time I've had a good tournament, I felt like it was pure luck. I found I come in third in a college tournament. I was running back in last day of practice at dark, and I saw seagulls diving. And I had found nothing else. I'm like, I'm going to start over there. There's a massive school of fish on a little patch of grass where seagulls are diving. And it's just like the next time there was a hurricane and they had all the locks open. I caught them on current breaks in the canal. So it's like I'd done good there, but had no confidence in doing good there again. And the first day of the tournament, I found that school of fish in Carlton, and it was right at dark. I may have been practicing for too long and caught one, missed one. And that was a big one I caught, but that was it. And then second day of practice, I fished in Dora, which was a lake connecting there, because I was trying to make it worth me spending my time on that section of the lake. And I fished there for 7 or 8 hours and found one place where I snagged 2 in the back on a route trout. That's all I caught. And then spent my next day and a half in Griffin and caught a lot of fish in Griffin. And I was pretty much committed to going to Griffin because Harris Chain is so sketchy. I was like, I'm gonna go there, catch 12 pounds a day, get out of here with a check. I'll be happy. And rigged all my Griffin rods up. We had like tornado warnings that night. They canceled the first day of our tournament. And we were all sitting around. And I was like, man, I'm not going to Griffin. I'm gonna go to that school of fish, even though it's been a few days. If they're there, great. If they're not, I don't know. I'll go flip Kissimmee grass all day and see if I can catch a limit. And literally that off day is why I won that tournament, because I rigged up all my, kind of school fishing, offshore fishing rods. And man, and when I went there, I didn't have a fish till 10:30. And at 10:30, I caught my first fish, which was like a 6.5. And then from 10:30 to 1:30, I caught that big bag of fish and was really able to learn a lot, about that spot every day. So no, I did not think that was going to be the place I won a tournament whatsoever. I was thinking Wheeler, if anywhere, but not Harris Chain.
So 10:30. Speaking at least from my brain, I would have been gone by then.
Oh yeah.
What made you stay?
The only thing that kept me there is because I had seen the caliber of fish that lived there, which were very large. And as the day was progressing, I kept telling myself, man, but because I've seen it so many times fishing offshore, it might be a late day deal. And I gave myself and I had a late boat number that day. I think I was doing it 4:30 or 5 o'clock or something. I was like, I'm gonna give it till noon. And then luckily they kind of bit before noon, because if they would have pulled up after 12 o'clock, I would have never caught a bass there. So I mean, it was just meant to happen, because like somehow I was calm enough to spend my whole half of the day in there, and not get a bite, and I finally caught one and kind of committed to staying. So it just one of those deals when it's meant to happen, like you hear it's actually meant to happen, because it just kind of fell in my lap after that.
Yeah.
Do you think other guys found that and just found it before noon?
So I don't know how much I want to say about that place.
We don't have to talk about
There's
it at
a
all.
well, I will. There's a lot of other things in that lake, to sidetrack people. There's a lot of brush. There's a lot of rocks. There's a lot of limestone. There's a lot of things in that lake to look at. It's a really small lake, but it's kind of diverse in its own way. And where these fish were not on any of that stuff. And I got really lucky to find it, because I was going from a brush pile to another brush pile, and I found those fish in the between area, of those two pieces of cover. So there's a lot to sidetrack people. So I know that Cody and one other angler found the exact place I was fishing, but 3 people out of 103 people finding that spot's not very many. So having all the other stuff in the lake was a good thing, because it caught attention more than the actual school of bass did.
Yeah, I was gonna say it seemed like you had it to yourself for the whole 4 days.
Yeah, I mean, Cody actually found that place, for pretty early day one, and I found it pretty late day one, like right at dark. And we had both, at the end of the day, said, "Hey, we found a school of bass." And Cody had a side image picture of them, and I knew what I seen. I'm like, man, that looks almost like the same school of fish, but we did not share where it was. And we both ended up there on day one. But Cody caught 17 or 18 pounds there day one. He stayed there till almost noon on day two, and then left. And then he was just, like I said, super good roommate on not coming back there, because I had a pretty legit chance to win. But no, I mean, I had it pretty much to myself besides Cody, fishing that. And it wasn't just a one cast deal, it was a 50, 75-yard stretch. So,
That's pretty cool.
yeah.
What made you pick up the hair jigs? I know that was a big player, especially when things got tougher for you.
Man, they really bit that crankbait good. The first 2 days I had a little wind. But on day two, I lost more weight than I caught. I lost like 6 really big fish on day two. And at the house that night, I was like, I have to find something I could pick up that's not treble hook orientated. And I tied a big swim bait. I tied a football jig on. I tied the whole Tennessee River lineup
Yeah,
of big single hook baits. And that was the last bait that I tried in that rotation. I would let those fish sit, pull up, throw a big swim bait. Didn't catch one. Fish off of them, let them sit back up, throw a scrounger, nothing. Went back, threw a big spinner bait, nothing. And then it's like the last bait I had on my deck was that hair jig, and then they bit it 4 or 5 casts in a row. So really, just me losing fish made me tie that hair jig on.
was it the whole Tennessee River style of do you do the burn and either let it pendulum or kill it type of deal? Like, is that what you're doing to catch them?
Yeah, I still use the big hair jig, like a 5/8 and a 3/4 ounce, but I put it on 20-pound line, and I wasn't fishing it that deep, so I was burning it and letting it stop, but I was keeping my line tight. I wasn't fishing deep enough for having to feed it line to get to the bottom. Um, it was one of them deals. Those fish were they're literally so big and so old, like they were so smart, and they didn't feed good during the day. They only fed right before dark, and it was just something that, like that crankbait, was causing reaction bite. Well, they were following that hair jig, and then when I killed it, they were just running into it. So it was, as I learned more about it, it was just they were trailing it, and when I'd stop in front of them, they'd almost swim through it. So it was just another reaction bite bait.
That's
Jeez.
pretty cool, dude.
That's
What's
fun.
your so for that hair jig? Run through your setup for that, like rod. line and everything?
Yeah, so I use a pretty fast reel. I use a 7.3, 7.3 to 1 hopper mag. And then the rod is pretty important. I use a like a 7.4 medium heavy with a fast tip, almost like a spinnerbait rod. Um, it's got an open hook in it and a kind of a heavy head. So, I mean, I lost a couple fish on it anyway, but that bait is really easy to tear a big gaping hole in the fish's mouth. So you want a lot of limberness in your rod, and that allowing it to load up, and then before you kind of give them a little heat, because you'll feel a lot of bites on a hair jig wherever you throw it, them just hitting it or getting the tail of it. So you don't really set the hook. You just kind of keep doing your retrieve until you reel into one. So
We got Kyle Patrick in the comment section saying that you look cute tonight.
yeah, Kyle just found another way to message me. I've had to block him on all forms of cell phone and social media. He is getting the creep standard, to be honest with you. So
and it's his birthday, Like
it is his birthday.
It is his birthday today. Yes.
Well, I feel bad that he is this lonely at 9:15 on his birthday. So that just puts more flame and fire there.
More creeper status.
Yeah.
He's just probably sitting there with a case by himself on YouTube watching podcasts. Like, oh, look
eyes
at John.
wide open.
Yeah, wide open. I don't know if he sleeps or not.
Great question.
I'm gonna take the under on that. The over. He definitely doesn't sleep.
Yeah,
taking the over.
No way. Not during tournaments. Not near a tournament anyway. He might sleep in a few days, but he made a top 10, so he's gonna be really jacked for at least after ICAST.
I don't know, man. ICAST is enough to take anybody out, no matter how energetic you are.
Yeah, you're right.
Are you going to be at ICAST?
Yeah, I'll be at ICAST. Yep.
Cool. Well, so getting back on that, dude, for whatever reason, I don't know why, but that hair jig bite just seems so freaking fun to me. I've never gotten on it good, but it looks like one of those bites that's just addicting. If that makes sense.
Yeah, it's a really cool. I don't know how to put it. It's a different bite than almost any bait. Like I can kind of compare it to stroking a football jig back in the old Tennessee River days. But I mean, it's something that I've used almost my whole life growing up on Tennessee River, and it's not really a bait that I'm going to pick up to put 15 pounds in a boat. It's not a bait that I'm going to catch every fish in the school, just wear them out. But it's a really good bait to catch one of the biggest fish out of a school of bass. And man, they knock complete slack in it. And you're kind of using it on more of a limber rod. So it's like, it's a good pull. You don't just get to winch them in. You got to fight them a little bit. And man, it is really cool. Really cool bite because most time when you catch it on it, it's a nice one.
Yeah. Yeah. It's
definitely something I want to
cracking them.
Yeah.
That's cool. So one of the things I wanted to ask earlier when we were talking about your spot on Harris Chain is not even just Harris Chain event in itself, but for many years you've been through college, so now at the Opens and the Elites, and you go back to the same locations. Now, when you're dealing with live coverage, does your mindset change about like that spot on Harris? Do you think that thing's done now that Bass Live because they go and put your pin where you're at? Do you think that place has been murdered, or do you think that you think if you go back to Harris Chain that you might have that might be a good spot still, if that makes sense?
No, I don't think so. I'm going to pull one. I'm going to tell you how vicious and savage these elite anglers are because I'm one of them. I watched the live recap from Lake Murray last year. I was not on the Elite Series last year. I didn't fish Lake Murray, but Patrick Walters fished a very obvious place, and it was on Bass Live. Like when I seen it, I'm like, that's got to be one of those only banks that look like that. And I caught all my fish on my top 10 at Murray off one of Patrick Walters' holes that I found on Bass Live that he fished the year before, and he rolled in one of the days of the tournament and was fishing near me there, and I was like, "Hey, boy, get off my hole." And he said, "Were you here last year?" And I was like, "No, but I'm here this year." So but no, there will be the entire field will probably make a lap through Carlton if we ever go back. So I doubt that I can win on the same place, but might relocate the school of fish if they move somewhere else.
Yeah, that makes sense. That's awesome. No, but I'm here this year.
Yeah.
Did he understand the joke, or did you just guys keep going fishing?
Oh no, he just kind of blew through the area, didn't stay there long because I mean he had 100 places better than where I was fishing for that tournament. But I told him exactly the situation after he won the tournament. He laughed it off. So
I'll say he didn't care then. He had the trophy.
yeah, he didn't care.
So
I mean, that's true though. Like, yeah, like, I feel like that's one of the most underrated hurdles that you guys go through is that specific. Like in regards to now, they go and I was sitting there, I was watching the Lake Fork footage today, and it's like they're showing you pins of in the size class of everything that's being caught. So now you're seeing regions that are good, creeks that are good, and you're like, okay, this guy caught a 6 pounder on this exact pin here, where it's just like it makes it almost like I don't want to say a clean slate because it's not, but it makes you almost go like if you find a needle in a haystack, that thing's done. Done
Oh,
for.
it's toast. It's toast. I mean, there's so I won that college bracket 2016 on Kentucky Lake on a very specific rock pile on a bar, and I'm just now able to start catching fish on that place again. So it's like if you win a major tournament that shows you where you are on Bass Live, it's done. It's toast. So you might as well, for the most part, scrap what you found in the past and just go looking for new stuff. I mean, definitely going to check it just because it's a nature in us, but it's probably not going to be anything like you found it the first time.
Yeah. Well, now that you said that, all 3 listeners that we have are going to go back into your college bracket, find out where that was, and they're going to go find that rock
Yeah,
pile and stand for again.
I moved the rock pile.
Oh, you'll move it?
I moved it myself. That's why I'm able. Yeah, it's not there anymore.
Yeah. You see it as a dive flag on Kentucky Lake and just John's boat right there.
What's that out there?
He's moving it 5 feet to the left.
Yeah.
That's one thing I wish we could do in New York. And part of me, I understand it because they're glacial lakes. You know, they're all natural type of deal. We can't put stuff in it. Even though for whatever reason homeowners can put in weed mats, which makes no sense to me. But there's some days where we have some of these bowls of grass that just have nothing to them. Where I just wish where it's like every trip, just bring one brick, bring one rock,
Yeah.
that sort of deal. Just start making a little deposit here and there.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So I'm assuming, where you growing up where you're at, you can throw brush in, you can do all that.
Yeah, I mean, it's one of them deals where I don't think it's technically legal to put brush in any lake in the country. As far as state by state, I don't know of a state that is legal. But it's one of them deals like if a DNR person sees you dropping brush, I don't think they're gonna write you a ticket because everybody down here puts out man-made brush piles, even the DNR does. But it seems like the further north you go, especially where y'all are at, it's like, dude, don't put a twig in the water or you'll get arrested and never fish again the rest of your life.
Yeah.
But down here, there's so many brush piles, it's almost pointless to put one out because so many people do it. Brush piles, crappie mats, rock piles, whatever. People do it every single day down here.
Yeah, I remember first really digging into that whole concept of newer brush piles versus older brush piles when Buddy Gross won on Eufaula, and they were talking about how like the fresh ones that still had green leaves on them still would attract they called them the shell crackers, which that's
Yeah.
one thing I still don't know, even traveling south a bunch. Like there's bluegill, brim, shell cracker. Like I don't know what the hell is the difference. It's kind of like the
Yeah.
whole 3 different names for crappie. It's
Yeah.
like, yeah, but that's a whole different side that I absolutely love is where I know the fishing in general is tougher when you go south, but I feel like the diversity of it is so intriguing to me where obviously you guys love the North just because our fish are dumb as a box of rocks. But I mean, you got to be pretty pumped heading to Champlain, dude.
Oh, dude, I'm ready to go. I'm really ready to go up there. I've never been to Champlain a day of my life. So
No?
I'm never been a day of my life. I've
Oh, you're screwed.
literally watched thousands of hours of people
You're
just
moving
reel
from
bass in. It's
Tennessee.
not even Bass Live. It's not Bass Live or MLF Live. It's just Fish Catch Live when they go up there. And I'm ready. I'm ready to experience it.
That's cool, man. I'm pumped for you. It's just cool in regard to the country you'll be in. Like, driving to Champlain, you'll love the Adirondacks, the way it's going to take you to go. It's a special place. It's the one thing that keeps me in New York, to be quite honest with you, is that region there. I mean, obviously their Finger Lakes are great, but are you coming up early to go fun fishing at all? Or are you staying late to go fun fishing? Or
I don't know yet. It's a month away, man. I don't know.
you bringing the fam?
Yeah, it depends on our Airbnb situation. I haven't really dove into it that much. Family's going to come to one of them. Just depending on when they come and how long they stay, probably depends on if I go early or stay later. Um, Hopefully, I have enough fish catching done during the tournament that I don't need to stay later. But who knows? It's hard not to go fun fishing up there while you're there. I tell you what, I have never been fun fishing on Onata. I've only fished the opens there, and always the first few days of practice the open, the place is unreal. And I would really like to go out there when there's not 150 boats, because when there is 200 boats, it's still fun. I would really like to go when there's not a lot of boats out there. So
Yeah, Oneida's still fishing pretty good right now for the most part. I've heard some rumors of people saying that there's a downswing on it, at least from a bass perspective. The recent studies said that the walleye are just doing absolutely incredible there.
really,
Yeah, like the walleye, I think they increased the limit that you can take out of there because
I
there's
think
so
it's
much
8
walleye.
now. I think
Yeah.
it's 8, which is unreal.
I've never seen a place where you can go throw a top water, swim a jig, deep crank, and catch a walleye in every single thing that you do. Like they're on docks.
wow.
Like it's just it's crazy. But I think none of these lakes you can go wrong with are fun fishing. But
Yeah.
I think simple answer is you go win AOI, and now you got some spending cash, so you can stay a little while and go fish some local ponds up there. Because like we were talking with Carl earlier, man, there's very few places in the world right now really that you can go fish, and there's nobody at the ramp. That part of the country is one of those places still where you can go up. There's not a house in the lake. There's nobody at the boat ramp, and it's like a 3-4 parking spots for the boat ramp, and the fishing is just ridiculous. It's incredible too because it's hard for people to go and get up there, so it's fun.
Yeah. I'm fortunate. I had one of my college roommates, Brad Abelman, lives on Black Lake in New York. I don't know if you ever heard of that or not.
Oh yeah.
But there's a lot of small lakes near Black Lake, and before we had a college bass tournament there, the days of wind blow, we would just go try random small lakes that had little gravel parking lots, like you were saying, and they're phenomenal, man. Just go throw a frog or flip reeds or whatever you want to do, and just man, we don't have anything like that down here. And I was listening to what you and Drew were talking about is a spinning rod craze. Is that if there was anything great down here, us anglers would ruin it. And that's why you see everybody with a spinning rod in their hand, because the fish are just so dang smart down here.
Mm-hmm.
It's just to that point. So where you're either using something huge or something real tiny to get a bite now. Yeah, it's nice going up there where the fish have not seen a bait every single day of the year.
Yeah, I can pick up something normal that everybody talks about and catch bass on it. Yeah, I don't have to go crazy JDM or throw these 12-inch glide baits to get any attention.
Yeah, I haven't. It's astonishing how few bass. I don't even think I weighed a fish in on a chatterbait this year or a spinnerbait. All year it's just like the normal traditional fishing stuff, especially with the schedule we had. It just doesn't line up that great for our tournaments.
Yeah. Well, with that said, obviously you're having a great season right now, so I'm sure there's no complaints. But what would you like to see, for next year's schedule? And what would you love to see on it or changed about it?
I would love 9 Tennessee River tournaments. That's what I would love. Yeah, put them
All
on
of
there.
them on ledge season.
Yeah, all. I would take some in March, couple, 4 in March, 5 during ledge season. But man, I feel bad for the people in Bass's shoes right now that are trying to please all the spectators because if we're not looking down at a scope, or I'm gonna call it eye scoping. So it's like we're either gonna be bed fishing or looking at our electronics. I don't think that Bass can do a whole lot about that because they're not gonna please everybody. But if they have some kind of schedule, anything like this year, then it's going to be another good year because we've had some really good events. We've had a lot of big fish caught, and if Smith Lake is our worst tournament of the year, man, that was a great tournament. There was a ton of fish caught. I mean, 15 pounds a day of spotted bass almost won that tournament. I mean, you can't beat that hardly anywhere in the country besides Lanier and Hartwell maybe. But it's been a great schedule. I would love to see something similar to we have right now. It's been diverse as it could get, really. I mean, Toledo and Fork, Wheeler. I mean, you've had really prime opportunities to catch them offshore and flipping cypress trees if you choose to. So, if anything like this year, I think they'll hit the nail on the head with it.
Yeah. No, I'm with you. It's a very tall task to be the person
Yeah.
making the schedule right now which sucks for them because the biggest thing is someone's going to be pissed regardless. I love the comment section every time a league announces their schedule, like, oh, nothing in Minnesota. Nothing on the West Coast every year. Like, it's inevitable. Like, it's just, you're going to have somebody that's like, can't believe you counted out Pennsylvania. Where the hell are we going to go in freaking Pennsylvania?
Yeah.
There's like there's like 2 lakes in Pennsylvania that you could have a tournament on. It's insane.
Maybe.
Yeah.
Hard maybe.
I don't know if there's a big enough fish population to have a tournament there, but yeah, there's only 2 that I know of that have big enough ramps possibly to have like 80 plus boats.
I don't know. Well, I always get excited for the schedule announcements and when you guys
for sure
get to come up here, because then my buddies are sending me, pictures like, oh, look at this wrap boat on the highway. Like, and it's just fun. But
it's just everybody complaining online right now is talking about how much they hate the sport. But it's like every single Bass Live coverage has groundbreaking numbers, more than ever last week at Smith. And Smith was the most forward-facing tournament of the year. And it cracks me up, people saying, I'm not going to watch this again, but they watched the video they just commented on. So, like I said, I'm glad I'm not making the tournament schedule. I'm just glad I'm fishing them, and hopefully they keep putting us on good places and with a grinder or 2 thrown in, and I'll be happy. So,
yeah, it'll probably be like Sabine River or Winyah Bay again. Like, oh, great.
Yeah.
I think
there's your grinder.
Yeah, I think it's the biggest thing. Like, if I doubt, because we only have 3 listeners this whole show, that with Bassmaster, if they were able to hear it, it's don't listen to the loud crowd in the comment sections right now, because believe it or not, that is the very, very minority of people, because there is a large silent majority that will watch bass fishing, Bass Live, regardless of what you guys are doing, because they simply, 1, love the sport, 2, love to see a bass caught, 3, love to learn. And there's a hybrid in there, of course, of different people that just simply enjoy it. They might not even fish tournaments. But yeah, I think that's the biggest thing, is just can't listen to those 20 some odd comments. And my biggest thing, dude, that I ended up letting it rip on a comment the other day because I couldn't take it anymore on a guy. And it was nice to see some other people join in on select individual that does nothing for our sport. But if you choose to see negative, if you choose negative, you're going to see negative. That's straightforward how it's going to be. Where, if anything, like, the part that drives me nuts is people don't try to pitch in some sort of solution. They just sit there and complain. Like, I hate the whole squeaky wheel gets the grease type of thing, but like, it's the whole thing to me where it's just like, just work on being the solution for our sport. If you want something changed, like start trying to drive, a solution for it versus just sitting there and whining the whole time.
Yeah. You hit the nail on the head. It's like whether it's a fan or an angler, the outspoken is not the ones you need to listen to the majority of the time. It's the 99 that aren't saying anything are the ones that you really need to listen to more. So, like you said, the minority that you hear is not the majority. So,
Yep. Yeah, I'm with it, man. I think they just need to stay the course, and especially right now, like there's not enough out there on everything. So I love where the sport is at. I mean, obviously, I don't love like where let's say the community is at. I think people like, like you guys are doing great for the younger generation coming up through the pro ranks, and you got people like Carl who we had on earlier that was really pushing the positive agenda to try to fight against this small crowd of people that like to embrace negativity for whatever reason. But I think there's a bright future ahead for fishing. I think it's just
I agree.
It's an interesting time of change. That's all that it is.
Yep.
Well, dude, between now and going up north, what's the plan? What do you got going on at home? You doing some fishing? Like, what's the gig?
A little fishing, a lot of family time with the wife and the baby. A lot of good meals at night, hopefully. And when it's not 95 degrees, might slip off for a few hours, do some scanning, flip some cypress trees on real foot, and just enjoy my break. Take all the pink worms, long pink worms out of my boat and put little short brown worms in to get ready for New York. So do a little boat flop.
I'm sure you thoroughly enjoy that part of it. A little bit of change of scenery, but that's awesome, dude. Well, Andy, you got anything left for John here?
No, I just want to say safe travels and good luck on the quest for AOY. And what are you leading Rookie of the Year right now too? Do you know, or no, second?
No, Trey's leading it. Yeah,
you're second.
I haven't looked at the standings yet, but go get it done.
Yeah,
best you can.
Shoot for both of them.
Yeah, I like it.
Yeah, I mean, you're only 42 with 2 events left, which can easily be made up.
Yep.
Although Hamner's fishing lights out right now, but I think we've seen anything can happen.
Yeah, 2 top 10s. If I could do what I can do, and if I have good tournaments, and see what happens to the rest of them. So,
God, this top 10 is freaking stacked. Goodness gracious, it's cool. It's crazy to see how many young guys. Like, because I mean, you got Hamner, but you got Trey, Cody, Fouts, yourself, Shakurit, JT, and Wesley rounding out top 10. That's pretty nuts, dude.
As long as I beat Jay Shakurit, my season will be complete as a whole, because me and him have been giving each other a hard time all year. I'm going to call him boss at Strike King, Tom Brubaker, is sending each of us a $50 Culver's gift card for whoever beats each other in the tournaments. So
I love that.
We have a group chat after every tournament. I'll say "suck it, Jay," or he'll say "take that, John." So it's been pretty funny, us going back and forth, and we're neck and neck in points. So I'm hoping I just edge him out, even by 1 point. Will be a success for the season.
As you guys are sitting there arguing, does Tom ever just like put a picture of the Culver's gift card right in the middle of it and be like, "It's up for grabs. Keep going, boys."
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, yeah.
That's cool, man. I love that. Some little camaraderie. Yeah, that's fun, man. Team within a team. That's cool, bro. Well, man, again, like Andy said, safe travels. Appreciate you always making time for the show, man. Seriously, we appreciate it beyond words. And holler if you do get some time up here. Happy to show you around some home ponds and send you some places to go have some fun, beat up on some really dumb fish. So.
Yeah, I'd love nothing
more. Too
more.
many of those.
That's for dang sure. Well, buddy, appreciate it, and we'll be talking to you real soon.
Yep, sounds good. Thank y'all.
See you, John.
Of course. Have a good night.
There you have it, folks. That wraps up our third and final guest for tonight. What a show.
What a show.
Long one.
Yeah,
long one, 2.5 hours. Appreciate y'all for tuning in. A lot of folks staying tuned in for tonight. So appreciate that. Dude, the future of fishing, I think, in regards to anglers, is in such good hands from people. One, that obviously passion's always there, but I feel like anglers are just getting better, but also getting smarter, and also they're being more outspoken in regards to the fight to keep this sport in a good place. I think the anglers at hand we're in a good spot.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more.
I think the only thing that needs improvement is just the foundation of tournament fishing, I should say. Whereas I think, we got people like Stephen Barden, who's fighting the good fight on the conservation side, that keeps fishing in its own right, going down the right path. Because tournament fishing, we talk about it a lot on the show, but it's only like it's the 5% of all fishing,
if that.
Whereas like Steven's fighting for fishing for everybody, the whole 100%. And I think it's in a good spot. I think it's obviously, nothing's ever perfect, but as much as people like to shad a storm over the current stage, I think things get blown out of proportion during the social media.
I truly believe it's in the best place it has been probably in a very long time. And very rarely at this point now, because the anglers are getting so good, right? Like very rarely do you see 2 Peters in a year, or guys went it like Cliff, right? It took him 15 years. Bill Lowen was like considered one of the best shallow water anglers of like all time through his generation. It took him 15, 18 years to get a trophy.
Something like that.
Yeah, but in retrospect, like guys aren't winning 2 tournaments a year very often either. Like it's a new winner every week, which I think is kind of cool as well. So it just shows you the expansive amount of talent there is. Like, I don't know if we'll ever see like a dominant tear like KVD went on for that 8-9 year stretch that he was almost unbeatable. Like, I don't know if you'll ever see that again because everybody is just so good now.
Yeah. I feel like it's just literally you got 30 guys in an octagon right now that are just throwing knockout punches left and right. And it's never one person leading. You got obviously the AOI, but then you see like Welcher. I don't think he's having a terrible season, but like,
no. And that's the other thing too. Very rarely it seems like now the guy who wins at AOI wins a tournament. Like, I don't think Kyle won a tournament last year, right?
No.
Or Seth Fighter the year before.
He's still in the classic, but anyway, he's in 35. So it's
still a good year. If you make the classic, that's an amazing year in that group of anglers, and you could be the last guy in and still win the classic because you're there. That should be the goal, is making the classic.
Well, and this year, of all years, we might have the opportunity for the classic champion to also be AOI.
Yeah.
Our boy Justin Hamner. Not saying that we're taking any credit for how good he's been fishing, but he always calls the shots on his show. But
we'll have to get him back on here to see what his next shot is.
I'll say, do we have to get him on here so he can call his shot for AOI, or what are we doing here? But it'd be freaking cool if he did, man, because couldn't have happened to one. To a better dude. But yeah, there's so many cool different stories here. It's, dude. One other thing I'm still looking at this AOI. Obviously, with the season turnaround, we had a recent show with him.
Not even a season turnaround, right?
Yeah,
career turnaround. Alex Redwine's even having a really good year. Almost got knocked out last year, got in by the skin of his teeth for his 3rd year, and he's having
25th
an incredible
AOI
stretch. Yeah.
But dude, things that I know people give him a lot of credit, especially with smallmouth, and they always get a lot of credit as great anglers, but year after year, I think the most safe bet in all of bass fishing, tournament fishing, is to bet that Chris and Corey Johnson will be in the top 10 AOI.
Yeah, and they're probably like 11 and 4. No, they're both in the top 10. Right
4 and 9. Chris is in 4th. Dude, it's crazy.
And now you're going up north. It's like, oh crap! If one of them gets hot up here, they could win both tournaments.
But I think Walters, Hamner, Welcher, all them boys proved. Well, actually, I don't think is the lake open this year.
Oh, they're running from Waddington. It could be open, but that is a
Hike.
haul. Yeah, and I think that like the lake being closed is an even a bigger advantage for the Johnston brothers.
Yeah,
to be honest.
Oh, that's what I was gonna say. Like they proved last year, like Welcher and Walters and all them, that now because of technology they don't have the advantage. And I've heard the Johnsons on Mercer's podcast talk about exactly that. But like if the lake was off limits, I'd be Johnston's got this on lock.
Yeah,
but
and they proved it the last time. I think during COVID, like if Corey didn't have like 3 different boats break on him, he was on bigger fish than Chris. And I think that was one of the Chris won that one, right? No, I think he lost to Micah Frazier. I think that was one I'm thinking.
The one where he came back from 10th.
Yeah, because he just dropped like that ungodly bag on the final day, like down by like 8 pounds.
Yeah.
The lake is open. I mean, if they run from Waddington to the lake, they're going to give themselves 2.5 to 3 hours to fish. If they're running way out in the lake, that's woof. And if it's rough,
it's gonna be interesting.
Yeah,
for dang sure.
And Polnick, the one time he won up there, he ran probably the furthest anybody's run from Waddington to fish to win. So
it's gonna be interesting either way. It's gonna be a fun watch, for the rest of the season. And tonight's show was freaking awesome. From having Carl on in the beginning, talking about the Fear My Heart winners, to having Drew Gill on, impressive kid, and then to I always say kid. He's probably 24, 25.
He's a kid.
And then obviously wrapping up here with our boy John Garrett. So it's appreciate everybody for joining in. And Andy, anything else we got for the folks?
No, I will. Quick side note, real quick. If anybody is looking to come up here and go fishing, basically the only month I have a lot of days left is August. My fall is almost full, and my July has like 4 days left that I can book. So,
dang.
Yeah, if you want to go fishing, you better give us a call or send us a message so we can get you on the calendar. And my spring next year is starting to fill up pretty quick. So, yeah.
Good.
It's a good thing. It's a good problem to have.
Yeah. Well, folks, appreciate you guys as always tuning into the show. We cannot do it without you, and we thoroughly enjoy it as it is, but we thoroughly enjoy it even more when you guys tune in. But appreciate you guys as always, and we'll see y'all on the next one. Peace.